Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the U.S.A Immigration channel. Today, we're going to talk about some very important updates regarding United States immigration law that have recently come into effect. If you or your family members are planning to go to America, or if you're already in the immigration process, this video is extremely important for you. So stay with me until the end because I'll explain everything in detail. Let me start by saying that the United States immigration system has seen some major changes at the beginning of this year, specifically from January 1st, 2026. These changes are affecting green card applications, visa processing, and overall immigration policies. The most significant thing is that these changes are making the immigration process more strict and complicated than before. First, let's talk about the travel ban that has been expanded. You might remember that during President Trump's previous term, there was a travel ban on certain countries. Well, that policy has been reintroduced and actually expanded. From January 1st, 2026, 7 new countries have been added to this travel ban list. These countries are Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, South Sudan, Syria, Laos, and Sierra Leone. Now, you might be wondering what this travel ban means. Basically, citizens from these countries face full entry restrictions to the United States. They cannot easily get visas to enter America. The total number of countries under this travel ban has now reached 39. Out of these 39 countries, 19 countries face complete entry restrictions. This is a very serious matter because if you're from any of these countries, getting a visa to the United States becomes extremely difficult, almost impossible in many cases. The government says this is being done for national security reasons, but it directly affects thousands of families who want to reunite with their loved ones in America. Now let me talk about something that affects even more people: the immigrant visa processing pause. This is perhaps the most concerning development for many families. Starting from January 21st, 2026, immigrant visa processing has been paused for 75 countries. Yes, you heard that right, 75 countries. The reason given by the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, which we call USCIS, is public charge concerns. What does public charge mean? Basically, the U.S. government wants to make sure that people coming to America won't become dependent on government benefits. They want immigrants who can support themselves financially. Because of these concerns, visa processing for people from these 75 countries has been temporarily stopped. This means if you've applied for an immigrant visa from one of these countries, your application is essentially on hold right now. Nobody knows exactly when this pause will be lifted. This pause is creating huge problems for families. Imagine you've been waiting for years to bring your spouse or parents to America. You've done all the paperwork, paid all the fees, and now suddenly everything is on hold. The emotional and financial stress this creates is unimaginable. Many families are separated because of this policy, and they don't know when they'll be able to reunite. Now let's discuss the I-130 family-based petitions. The I-130 form is what U.S. citizens and permanent residents use to sponsor their family members for green cards. This is one of the most common ways families immigrate to the United States, but recent changes have made this process much more difficult and time-consuming. The USCIS has introduced new vetting protocols for I-130 petitions. What this means is that they're scrutinizing these applications much more carefully than before. They're conducting enhanced screening of marriages and family relationships to verify that they're genuine and not just for immigration purposes. While it's understandable that the government wants to prevent fraud, these new protocols are causing massive delays. Applications that used to take a few months to process are now taking many additional months, sometimes even years. The approval times have been extended significantly. For families who are already separated and waiting anxiously, these delays are heartbreaking. Every extra month of waiting means more time apart from loved ones, more expenses, and more uncertainty. The verification process has become very strict. Officers are looking at every detail of the relationship. They want to see extensive proof that marriages are real, that family relationships are genuine. They're asking for more documentation, conducting more interviews, and being much more skeptical of applications. Even genuine cases are facing delays because of this heightened scrutiny. Let me now talk about employment authorization documents, which we call EAD. These are work permits that allow certain categories of immigrants to work legally in the United States while they're waiting for their green cards or other immigration status. The USCIS has made an important change to the validity period of these documents. Previously, certain employment authorization documents could be issued for up to 5 years. This was very convenient for people because they didn't have to worry about renewing their work permits frequently. But now, the USCIS has reduced the maximum validity period from 5 years to just 18 months. This is a significant reduction. What does this mean for workers? It means they'll have to apply for renewal much more frequently. Every 18 months, they'll need to go through the renewal process, pay the fees again, submit new applications, and wait for approval. This creates more work, more stress, and more expenses. There's also the risk that during the renewal process, if there are any delays, people might temporarily lose their work authorization, which could affect their employment. The fees for these applications are also not cheap. Every time you apply or renew, you have to pay processing fees that can be several $100s. So having to renew more frequently means spending more money over time. For many immigrants who are already struggling financially, this is an additional burden they didn't anticipate. Now let's talk about some slightly better news, the Visa Bulletin for February 2026. The Visa Bulletin is a monthly publication that tells people when their priority date is current, meaning when they can actually apply for their green card or immigrant visa. The State Department just released the February 2026 Visa Bulletin, and there has been some modest movement for the family-based second preference category, specifically F2A, which is for spouses and unmarried children under 21 of permanent residence. The priority dates have advanced by 1 month. This might not sound like much, but for people who have been waiting for years, every month counts. Similarly, for employment-based third preference, which we call EB3, the priority dates have advanced by 3 months for most countries. However, I want to emphasize that this is modest movement. The backlogs in certain categories are still very long. Some people are waiting 5, 10, or even more years for their priority dates to become current. The slight advancement in February is a small, positive sign, but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem of massive backlogs in the immigration system. For people from countries like India and China, the wait times are particularly long because these countries have very high demand for visas but the same annual quota as other countries. This creates enormous backlogs. Even with the small movements we see each month, people from these countries often wait decades for green cards. There's also news about premium processing fees. Premium processing is a service where you can pay extra to get your application processed much faster than the normal processing time. For many people who need quick decisions on their cases, premium processing is worth the extra cost. However, starting from March 1st, 2026, the fees for premium processing are increasing. The exact amount of the increase varies depending on the type of application, but overall, immigration is becoming more expensive. When you add up all the costs, filing fees, attorney fees, medical examination fees, premium processing fees, and other expenses, immigrating to the United States can cost thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars. For many families in developing countries, saving this much money is extremely difficult. They sacrifice a lot, take loans, sell property, just to afford the immigration process. And now, with increasing fees and longer processing times, the burden is becoming even heavier. So what does all of this mean for you? If you're planning to immigrate to the United States, or if you have family members in the immigration process, you need to be prepared for a more difficult and lengthy journey than before. The system has become stricter, more expensive, and more time-consuming. My advice to everyone is to make sure your documentation is perfect. With the increased scrutiny, any small mistake or missing document can lead to delays or denials. If possible, work with an experienced immigration attorney who knows the latest rules and can guide you properly. Yes, attorneys are expensive, but making a mistake on your application can be even more costly. Also, be patient and mentally prepared for delays. The processing times are longer now, and there's a lot of uncertainty in the system. Don't make any major life decisions based on expected timelines because those timelines might change. Keep your documents organized, respond promptly to any requests from USCIS, and stay informed about policy changes. For those whose visa processing is paused because of the 75-country restriction, unfortunately, there's not much you can do except wait and hope that the policy changes or that your country is removed from the list. You can contact your representatives, join advocacy groups, but ultimately, immigration policy is decided by the government. In conclusion, the United States immigration system is going through significant changes that are making it harder for people to immigrate. The expanded travel ban, the pause on immigrant visa processing for 75 countries, the increased scrutiny of family-based petitions, the reduced validity of work permits, and the rising fees are all creating obstacles for immigrants and their families. These changes reflect a broader shift toward more restrictive immigration policies. Whether you agree with these policies or not, if you're affected by them, you need to understand them and plan accordingly. Immigration to the United States has never been easy, but it's becoming even more challenging now. I hope this information was helpful for you. If you have any questions or if you want me to cover any specific aspect of immigration law in more detail, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future updates on immigration news. Share this video with anyone who might benefit from this information. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay hopeful.